music compels us to move. There is this natural entrainment of the movement to the beat of the music. It is a natural phenomenon. It's universal, it transcends places and cultures. It's very precocious. It is rather a human thing, although there was some discussion about whether human animal can exhibit this kind of synchronization, natural entrainment to the music. With exception, those of us that are beat deaf, it concerns all human beings. It's, of course, as you've seen, very motivating and pleasurable. And we're going to see more of that tonight. It favors social behavior. It is sustained by a dedicated neural circuitry with common sensory and motor areas of the brain. They involve in this synchronization phenomenon. And it can be captured by general synchronization principles that we study in this community. So, music entrains movement. At the same time, it is the case that music also entrains other biological systems, such as breathing. And if we had been recording your respiratory activity during listening to this piece of music, we could have seen some frequency locking, phase locking patterns of synchronization with the beat of music. And indeed, there is a large body of evidence in the field showing that listening to the beat of music entrains the way we breathe, such as, for instance, a sarabande entrains the way we breathe in a different way than a valse number 6. Or if you look at this synchronization, this is this wonderful work by Sato et al. In 2010. If you look across time, over time, from the beginning of listening to a piece of music to the end, you see that this synchronization, expressed by these bars here, increases over time. So the more you listen to the piece of music, the more you listen to it. That's for respiration. Well, of course, we can extend these ideas to many other systems, such as stepping. So the pulsing system is known to be entrained by the beats of music, or a sound, just a rhythmic metronome. You can see in this example, for instance, we've been doing that with Stoffregen sensei and Ito-san, where we could observe some frequency mode locking and phase locking patterns during an active and intentional synchronization of the pulsing system to the sound emitted by the room. And in more discrete situations, when you are instructed to synchronize to a metronome, either intentionally or unintentionally, looking at entrainment, then you can see the same kind of effect, that is to say, this anchoring effect here where the metronome usually appears at the one peak of the pulsing system at the body's way, but also the intra-pulsal dynamics is entrained by the beat of the metronome in that case, such as when you increase the frequency of the metronome, you can see this phase transition between in-phase coordination between ankle and hips in black here to anti-phase when we increase the frequency. Brain is, of course, entrained by the rhythm and the beat of the music. There's a large body of evidence in the neuroscience music community showing that the brain can pick up the music frequency in different ways. And all these phenomena are evidence and are connected when we are in group together. And so we can see how moving and breathing and standing and clapping and dancing together produce this immersion phenomenon of people moving in sync with the beat of music. Okay, so this suggests that music has this power to entrain biology in different ways and in different components. But of course, these components are not independent on each other, right? So breathing and moving are coupled by virtue of mechanical interactions or neurophysiological interactions. The brain is, of course, not independent from movement in terms of the way it's entrained by the music. And so we have to find ways here to couple these things together and develop potentially a model able to analyze the way the entrainment of the music to the movement happens both at the level of the components and at the level of the coupling between the components. I do not have such a model today. What I do have, however, is a glimpse into how such a model can work. And I'm going to concentrate on this last part of my talk on a very simple part of it, which is this coupling between breathing and running, known as the locomotor respiratory coupling, as most of you in this room know. And indeed, running and breathing are coupled by virtue of mechanics, sharing the same mechanical system, but also coupled by virtue of neurophysiological pathways. So there's this very delicate coupling neurophysiological functions between the two systems, sharing some pathway or informing each pathway. And both this mechanical and neurophysiological interaction produce at a higher level these very interesting frequency ratios between breathing and running, such as you can breathe once every 2 cycles, or 3 or 4, or 2 or 3, whatever it means. But so these frequency ratios at the higher level arising from the interaction at the lower level of mechanics and neurophysiology can be analyzed and expressed in different ways. And my goal today, in this remaining 5-6 minutes, is to show you that music can actually act as a synchronizer of these two biological systems. That music can stabilize or destabilize this coupling between breathing and running. And I'm going to very briefly show you 2 examples of that, showing how music can do that. We have tools available coming from physics that we can use to analyze this polyrhythmic situation, these different frequency ratios, the Haaland, the Faraday tree, this mathematical construction that we're using in order to look at how stable these frequency ratios are. The scientific map, we can use relative phase to compute this data. I have no time to go into the detail. Most of you are familiar with these tools. Most of them has been applied in the field of this locomotor respiratory coupling. What I will briefly show you today are 2 examples showing how music can be used to stabilize or destabilize this coupling between the 2 systems. So one is in during this one is during cycling, where subjects have to cycle in sync. This is an intentional synchronization task where people have to sync with either the pedaling or the breathing with the music. There's no music actually in this situation. It's going to be a regular metronome, just a regular beat, set up at the natural breathing or cycling frequency of the participants. And basically what you can see here is no music, no sound here, sound there, is that in the no sound condition, then there is a wide distribution of the frequency ratios in the Faraday tree that you can see here, compressed into only 1 frequency ratios, which is, in this particular case, the most stable ratio in the Faraday tree for breathing and running. And so you see the effect of sound here stabilizing the synchronization between systems. If you look at the return map, which is basically here the relation between relative phase at times t plus 2, I think, as a function of the same relative phase at time t, then you have this identity line here, and you can see that with sound, then the phase coupling, that's an index. You can compute all these distances and take the mean, and this gives you an index of the phase coupling is stronger with sound. And if you look at the relative phase distribution over time, with in red those relative phase corresponding to the beat of the metronome, then you can see the same kind of thing. So music in this particular case synchronizes the way we breathe and we run in a very interesting way. This is for cycling. And this is accompanied by a reduction in oxygen consumption by about 5%. Cycling is more stable, breathing is more stable, the coupling between the 2 is more stable, it goes up into the Faraday tree at the most stable ratio, and oxygen consumption is reduced by 5%. Running is another example. This is a pre-controlled protocol. I'm not going to go into that. You have to control for the physiology, the output of the brain. This is a non-intentional synchronization situation where participants had to run on a metronome with a metronome or a music. We're controlling for the motivational, psychological aspect of the music. Set up at the preferred frequency of the running. Synchronization, the entrainment phenomenon appears pretty easily. You're a little bit behind with the metronome, you're a little bit ahead of time of the music with the music, but it's basically pretty in sync. Look at this identity line here and the phase coupling index with silence, metronome and music, and you can see that this phase coupling index increases with metronome, but more so with music. Now if you look at the physiology of that, by looking at this oxygen consumption, you see that metronome and music produce more efficient running. And interestingly, these two parameters seems to be linked together, expressed by this relation here. So this increase in phase coupling due to music is accompanied by a decrease in oxygen consumption due to the music. So one more time here, in this non-intentional synchronization situation, running, you're entrained by the music, you are more stable in your running patterns and in your breathing pattern. The coupling between the two is more stable, is higher in refractory, and you spend less energy running. So this is the kind of thing that we do in this Beat Health project that Joby mentioned already yesterday, with some possibility, potentially to develop specific apps that are playing with the synchronization phenomenon between running and breathing. We're not the only one on the market. There are this series of apps flourishing now on the web. Do not download them. They're bad. They don't do the job. Don't spend $2, trying to play with these machines. Just wait for us to be honest. Okay, so conclusion here. Running in sync with the beat stabilizes running and breathing, stabilizing the coupling between the two. Boosts physiology efficiency, more with music than metronome. And so this is the kind of take-home message that I want to pass here, that music can be considered as a coordinating device between the two biological systems here. There are some more applied consequences of this type of research, of course in sport. So plus 6%, I mean this is for Mike right here, I don't know if Mike is here, but plus 6% is like 6 minutes on a marathon. I mean it's like, no, 6% is like 3 minutes on a marathon, which is, not bad. Of course this is very speculative because the physiology, of running for like 20 minutes or 40 minutes and running for a marathon is completely different. But that gives an idea of why, that gives an idea of why music is forbidden during running. So in international competition, you're not allowed to use your MP3 player. And it's considered as technological doping. It is. By your player, it's considered as technological doping. And we believe, one of the reasons for that is it's not only motivating, it's not only a distractor from pain, but it's also a way to synchronize biological systems and then enhance performance. Which, the famous, had a Gabriel Selassie report all the time, he beats his records, when Scatman is being played in the arena. And he says, well, you can do it here. Okay, so physical activity injury, music performance, rehabilitation, as Laurie mentioned yesterday. Music at work is another arena in which these kind of ideas can be further developed. This being said, I will stop and thank some of my co-collaborators in this BTS project, and especially Charles Hoffman, who was the one doing this experiment during his PhD. Thank you.